Multiple teams continue to have interest in Quentin Grimes, and the New York Knicks seemingly have added him into a lot of trade discussions, so we have to talk about this. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to jump right into the video today because multiple teams have had interest in Quentin Grimes, which obviously is not new news at all. We've known this for a few weeks now. We've known that Grimes' Knicks career is probably on its last legs, and that he'll most likely be traded either at the trade deadline or in the offseason. But there's been a lot of discussion around Grimes and where he could potentially go, and that's mainly because if you look at it, Quentin Grimes is 23 years old. He's theoretically a very high-level young 3-and-D player. That is a player that, I don't know, all 29 other teams in the NBA are going to at least have some exploratory level interest in. This current age of the NBA is so catered towards having a shooting guard who's a 3-and-D guy, especially someone like Grimes who has playoff experience and has shown that not only he can shoot nearly 40% from 3, but be one of the better on-ball defenders in the NBA, and just perimeter defenders in general in the league. So obviously a lot of teams have interest in him, and let's just break a little bit of this down. Because per Ian Begley, Quentin Grimes has drawn interest from several teams, including the Houston Rockets, Atlanta Hawks, Utah Jazz, and Memphis Grizzlies. Now, the Rockets are interesting because Grimes is from there, and also because Tari Eason is someone who the Knicks have had interest in. Stay tuned. Knicks Digest is going to do a deeper dive on that, but not in this video. And then also, you're looking at teams like the Utah Jazz, the Memphis Grizzlies, and the Atlanta Hawks. Not to mention other teams that will have interest in Grimes also. For instance, the Toronto Raptors if the Knicks want to trade for Bruce Brown. But essentially, we're going to focus on mainly the Hawks and the Jazz. So let's do that first, and then we'll do a little bit of other stuff too. So Grimes has come up in multiple trade discussions with the Atlanta Hawks for guard DeJounte Murray and in separate smaller discussions involving A.J. Griffin, league sources have told Hoops Hype. This is all written by Michael A. Scotto, who we all know. The Hawks are intrigued by Grimes as a potential 3-and-D fit next to Trae Young, and A.J. Griffin is a CAA client who has fallen out of Atlanta's rotation after showing promise as a rookie, averaging nearly 9 points in 19.5 minutes on 46.5% shooting from the field and 39% from 3. As previously reported by Hoops Hype, the Knicks have dangled the expiring contract of Evan Fournier, Grimes, and draft compensation for a potential upgrade. Now, we covered that before, the Grimes Fournier draft pick thing. We've actually covered it in 5 million videos. But really what we have to note here is that that would be any trade for a bigger contract type guy. For instance, Bruce Brown, who we just mentioned. Or when the Knicks were talking DeJounte Murray. The framework was certainly around Evan Fournier and Quentin Grimes. The Hawks clearly like Grimes. They like what his fit could be next to Trae Young. And I gotta agree with them. I mean, if you look at Quentin Grimes, he's young. Him and Trae are similar ages. Trae's a little bit older. And Grimes can cover for Young really well as a defender. Grimes is a really good perimeter defender. He guarded Donovan Mitchell so well in the playoffs. He got a massive defensive steal against the Miami Heat to keep the Knicks alive in the playoffs right after Bam Adebayo ran right at him and purposely injured him because Bam's a dirty player. And now the Hawks see that, and they're like, okay, well, we're losing DeJounte Murray. We're going to trade him. The Hawks are not going to go into full rebuild mode. You can't with Trae Young. He's never going to be on a team that's just that bad. He's too good of a floor general to do that. But he can't carry a team. And because he can't carry a team, if the Hawks trade DeJounte, if they trade Clint Capella, they're going to be experimenting with young players. Most notably Jalen Johnson. But also a guy like Grimes, Onyeka Okongwu. There's names there that they could use. And I think they would love to have a young 3-and-D guy who they could try to develop in Quentin Grimes. I mean, Grimes has shown promise to be more than that, though primarily a 3-and-D player. He won't demand the ball as much, meaning Trae Young can operate fluidly as the lead guard, and there won't be sort of a wonky fit with DeJounte. Grimes can work off the ball. He actually is better when working off the ball. So he could be the perfect shooting guard to place next to Trae Young. I honestly think the optimal idea for a shooting guard next to Trae Young is a straight-up 3-and-D player. Hopefully someone who's a tiny bit better at defense. But remember, Trae Young is not Steph Curry. I feel like when everyone thinks of Trae Young, they think of the three-point shooting a lot of the time with the playmaking. Trae Young is a great three-point shooter. He's not lights out. He's not Steph Curry. He's not Damian Lillard. He's not Jalen Brunson from deep. He's just not. He's not on that level of point guard three-point shooting levels. But he is a really, really great player. And he is a good shooter, don't get me wrong. But a 3-and-D guy would fit perfectly next to Young. It can really optimize the way for Young to just manipulate the floor and use his absolute genius-level basketball IQ and floor general abilities to help the Hawks win games. So I think Grimes fits perfectly there. I see why the Hawks want him, and I think that makes a ton of sense for them. It matters on what the Knicks are getting back. Because, look, if you're going to get involved in some trade, something I could be interested in is some sort of deal where, say the Lakers want DeJounte Murray and they're going to get him, which I do think is going to happen. D'Angelo Russell's going to have to go. I'd be fine with the Knicks taking D'Angelo Russell. I would be. But also, if that's going to happen, we're probably going to have to trade Grimes and Fournier in that involvement so we could be the third team because the Hawks don't want D'Lo right next to Trae Young because neither of them can defend anything. So if the Knicks want to get involved and say, hey, we're not going to give a ton of draft capital, but we'll give Quentin Grimes, we'll give Evan Fournier, we'll give one of our protected first rounders. If we can, we'll take D'Lo from the Hawks. We'll give the Hawks Quentin Grimes so they get a really nice young player piece back in that trade when they're giving away DeJounte Murray. The Lakers give them a first. And then the Knicks also can finagle getting AJ Griffin in the deal. I think that's a win for the Knicks. I think they can go out there and get AJ Griffin, who might be able to really thrive under Tibbs' system. He's shown the ability to shoot the ball. Really, I know a lot of people might disagree with this, but I think AJ Griffin is such a fluid player that he could really do anything from the 1 to sort of the 4 in a way, like Josh Hart kind of can play power forward off the bench, if that makes sense. But I think AJ Griffin has the ability to play a lot of different positions, mainly wing, but he can play the 1 in some instances. He can play the 4 against more of a spot-up, stretch 4 type player, which is 90% of the backup power forwards in the NBA. So I think that could work out really well for the Knicks, and I would definitely be interested in doing something like that. However, let's move on. Let's just keep it going. Sorry, wrong thing. New York has also been connected to a number of players, including Bruce Brown, Malcolm Brogdon, and Alec Burks, all of whom we've talked about on Knicks Digest. The Knicks have also registered trade interest in Utah's Jordan Clarkson and Kelly Olynyk earlier in January, league sources told HoopsHype. Whatever team can get Clarkson can be a game changer, an NBA scout said. I think he's one of the best volume scorers available on the trade market. Clarkson is the 2021 Sixth Man of the Year and began the season as a starter for 19 games and has since come off the bench. Olynyk has drawn value from various teams across the league, sources say, and is considered to be Utah's top trade candidate ahead of the deadline by rival executives as he prepares to be an unrestricted free agent this summer. Knicks guard Quentin Grimes was previously discussed in Donovan Mitchell trade talks, and he came up again in separate discussions for Clarkson and Olynyk with the Jazz, according to other sources. So that's obviously very interesting. We've already seen that. Sorry, I'm a little off my game right now. But, look, I like the idea of Kelly Olynyk because it gives you a stretch 4, and that's a lot different from all the other big men the Knicks have. But that's a deal where you'd have to be okay with parting with Jericho Sims. And if the Knicks are doing that, I think that slightly impacts draft capital. It's not like, we're giving Jericho Sims, we're not giving you any draft picks at all. Jericho Sims, future star center. No. But Jericho Sims is someone who is a rotational NBA player, and because of that, I think you'd have to trade him because you can't trade Precious Achiuwa in a deal with anyone else, and you're obviously not trading Mitch or Hartenstein for Kelly Olynyk, and do we really need that many more big men? And sure, we could just say, oh, okay, Olynyk's going to be purely a power forward with us, which he can do because he's a great shooter. I guess you could do that, but how much do you really want to give up in that case for a rental of a guy who's more of a stretch 5, kind of playing that 4 role? I guess with Randall out, it does make more sense, though. I'm not against a trade for Kelly Olynyk. I think trading Quentin Grimes for Kelly Olynyk would be a little bit egregious. Maybe you could figure out a way where you trade for both Clarkson and Olynyk and give Grimes, Fournier, and a first rounder. And if that's the deal, which it won't be, then I'm fine with it. Because, I don't know, it helps the Knicks be better now. If the Knicks want the most fluid replacement, the most similar replacement that they can find for Emmanuel Quickley, it is Jordan Clarkson. Just the energy, the style of shots, that is the closest you're going to get. The problem with Clarkson is what I'm about to show you, and that is that he shoots 30% from 3 this season. He's averaging nearly 18 points a game while also getting 5 assists, but he shoots only 42% from the field and 30% from three, though his free throw percentage is very nice. He's not having the most he's not having the most efficient season in the world. He's under the league average of 15 for the PER. So, Clarkson, I mean, he's a sixth man in every sense of the word. Is he efficient? No. Can he get you buckets? Yeah. Could he also potentially go 3 for 14 sometimes? Yeah. But it's not like Quickly didn't have those games too. Let's not pretend like he didn't. So if you want to go for him and you could get some sort of deal done where it's Grimes, a first rounder, and Fournier for Olynyk and Clarkson, I don't think it would be the worst idea in the world. Is it my favorite trade? No, but it's not something where I would be up in arms talking on this channel about, oh no, what did we do? No, I don't think it would be that bad for the Knicks. I think it would help them win now. The Knicks are officially the 3rd seed in the Eastern Conference on a win streak. They've been the hottest team in the league since the turn of the new year. So, because also the Cavs. But we know what happens when the Knicks and the Cavs meet in the playoffs. But really, that could be a very interesting move to make for the Knicks. They got options. Clearly, Grimes is not long for the Knicks at this point. It's just a matter of how much longer is he going to be on the team, and will he be on the Knicks by the summer? I don't know. I think it's pretty 50-50, but there's only one way to find out. And make sure you don't miss it, because we will talk about it once anything goes down. Any more trades the Knicks make, we'll get right on it. So make sure to subscribe to Knicks Digest, like this video, turn on those post notifications, and subscribe, because why not? Helps us out a ton at Knicks Digest. Have a great day, guys. Go Knicks.